Hello, and welcome to another video. So in today's video, we are going to talk about how do you become a registered in-home childcare provider, okay? This is just about registered in-home daycares in Texas. Yes, you can use this information to become licensed. Yes, you can use this information to become listed, but this video is going to specifically be about the registered in-home daycare process, okay? So without further ado, let's get into today's video. First thing that you need to do is apply on the site. You can get all this information I'm going to tell you in this video online. I'm just going to make it easier by letting you know where you find everything, okay? So you're first going to go ahead and apply on the site. Once you apply on the site and initiate the process of like your background and just your application process, the state is going to reach out to you and they're going to issue you an operation number, okay? So all of these other things that I'm going to mention are things that you have to do at some point in the process. If I was you, I would start getting everything together so you can get it done as soon as possible and you can get your inspection. So you're going to have to take trainings. I am going to list all the trainings for you here on the screen. You're going to have to take those trainings. There are 2 trainings that cost. So there's one training that's $10, one training that's $12, and if you plan on transporting kids, there's going to be one training that you need to take that's $14. Now I put these trainings because they were kind of hard once the state sent me out the email to like which out of all this course list, which trainings can I take. You can actually go ahead and take these trainings now if you know that you're going to go through this process. So when your representative reaches out to you, all you have to do is go ahead and submit the documents, okay? So back when I did this way back when, okay, when I did this the first time around, I had to send everything in via mail. I think since the pandemic, they've actually made this available to like just submit like via text messages through your rep. You can submit it via email. There are different ways that you can do it. Before, you only had the option of mailing it in. So you can get this done pretty quickly. So you need to do the trainings. You also need to do the orientation. You're going to need to initiate your background check. Now, if you've never had a background check done with the state, that background screening is actually going to end up sending you an email and you're going to have to go get your fingerprints done, okay? The fingerprints cost about $30 at the place near me. You're just going to have to find a place that does fingerprinting and they'll send all the information that the systems communicate with each other and you're going to be able to get that squared away. Please note that you have to get fingerprints for every person in your household or that will be visiting your home that you list on this documentation that is 14 years old and above, okay? So like I have a 14-year-old son, he also has to get his fingerprints done. That's a part of the paperwork. So already you know you're gonna have to save $35 times 3 because you need fingerprints done. I will tell you that they will issue you a citation if the inspector comes out. Like they'll push you through the process. They will issue a citation if the inspector comes out and the fingerprints are not complete for all of you. So don't forget this, okay? You don't want any citations. CPR and first aid. Now this was also a thing they didn't do back when, but the first aid can be online. The CPR has to be in person. So go ahead. I would just do the one through Red Cross just because they're well known and you can get it in person. But in Texas, you now have to make sure that you do like just whenever your CPR expires, it has to be in person. So there's that. The next thing is you have to get an affidavit signed. I'll also try and link this below. If not, you'll see it when you go in the portal. Like when you open up your portal, you're able to see that affidavit. You can get this notarized. Now, there are some places that notarize things for free. If you bank with like a big bank, like a Chase, Capital One, places like that, they will notarize this document for you. So you don't have to pay to get it notarized either. Don't pay anyone. Check with your bank first, okay? I know also Wood Forest inside of like Walmart, I've gotten something notarized through them and I don't bank with them. So just check around, see who you can get it done with for free. The next thing is insurance. I did not have to have insurance the first time I opened a daycare. It's a requirement now. You can actually opt out of it, but then you have to have a clause in your policies and procedures telling the parents that you don't offer insurance, okay? This is the insurance company that I would try to go through. Well, it's the one that I use, and you can find whichever one you like. Sometimes your car insurance people offer one, but this one does like a subscription service. I believe you can get insurance for as low as $10 a month, which is pretty nice. And that is through Lemonade. So I would definitely check them out. Another thing is you're going to need to get your high school transcripts or your high school diploma ready. I know sometimes, especially when you have graduated a long time ago, it takes a while to rally all this stuff up. Just know that's a part of the process. You're going to need to have that information complete, okay? And the last thing is, before licensing comes out, you can actually reach out to the child food program. So find a child food program in your area and begin to go through that process with them. It's pretty easy, but they also have a representative. The lady told me last week that they had just come back into the field. So since the pandemic up until now, they've been doing things like strictly over the phone and through online communications. Now they actually have to come back out to your house and actually monitor. So if you say that you have children and you're going to be like getting money from the program, you're going to be required to show them documentation and the children in your care, okay? Because they do the program that I worked with last time, they came out like during random times, but we'll talk about that in another video. I actually make a separate video for you guys after I had my meeting with my new representative, because I'm choosing to go with a different company. That's all up to you, especially if you live in somewhere like Houston. You know, like if you're in Texas and you live in like, you know, a bigger city, you have options as far as these programs. Now licensing, you don't have options, but you do have options for child food program. But as I said, we'll talk about that a little later. All right, so now let's talk about some of the starting costs, because a lot of people have questions about like, how much is this all going to cost me? And honestly, I understand it can be pretty stressful. The thing I forgot to mention is transportation. If you plan on transporting kids, make sure that you have insurance for your vehicle, and make sure that your vehicle has like seat belts. They don't have to necessarily have the car seats right now if you don't have children in your care, but if you do have children in your care, you make sure you have car seats. But make sure your seat belts in your car works, because the inspector will check all of those things, okay? So let's move on to the next question that a lot of people have is like, how much is it going to cost? And if you're not asking the question, I know you're thinking of it. And the first time around, I'll insert some pictures. I spent a lot of money. I want you to know that you don't have to spend all of that money, and you don't have to have like large space to make it look nice. Here's my new space, which if you stick around and watch some of my day in life videos, you'll actually get to see more in depth of my space. But you can make it work and you don't have to spend a ton of money, okay? So the first thing I would tell you is to search places like Facebook Marketplace and like your next door, search your Dollar Tree, look at the Goodwill. Those are all places that you can find really good items. It's about to be back to school time. Like, they're putting out the back to school things now, so this is a great time to find mats, okay? And I will say that let's start talking about the things that you must have when they come in to check. They're going to want to see what are the children going to use to sleep with. Mats or cots are the two that I know that you can use, okay? I chose to do cots. You can choose to do mats because they're cheaper. When I first opened my daycare, I absolutely chose mats. And I'll talk about this a little later too, but you can just add that in your enrollment fees, so that if you say like, I'm gonna buy a mat every time a child enrolls, or just buy a few mats, and then it's almost like a reimbursement when a new child enrolls, you can do that as well. Like I said, I chose to use cots just because because my space is so intertwined with my home and my childcare. I actually wanted things to match my home, so I did not choose to go with the cots. I did not choose to go with the mats. They also had cots that were like blue and primary colors. I didn't choose to go with those either, but you can. And the ones that are colored mats and cots, especially the blue ones, you might be able to find those on like Facebook Marketplace. It's not unheard of to see those, okay? The next thing is you're going to need to get a table. Now, the first table that I had was those little tables you can get from Walmart that seat like 4. Whatever, however you decide you want to do this, trust me, you can, as long as they're like tables small enough for the children to fit at, you're going to be fine. I would choose to go with a table that's more sturdy, realizing that the table, they're going to be doing a lot of activity at the table. They're eating, they're sitting, they're playing, they're doing crafts, they're doing a lot at the table. You want the table to be comfortable for the kids. And one of the things that I didn't like about my old table was that the kids slid the chairs around. So let's say this kid is sitting down on this side and then this kid is sitting down over here. They would be like, I had to zip tie the legs to the table together. Like, it was a mess. This table that I have now doesn't move that easily, and I love it. So I would just say, you know, if you're strapped for cash, if you want to do this very budget friendly, you can just choose any table. If not, if you have a little bit money to play with for your bigger items like I did, as far as my cots and tables, those were the two items that I I wasn't trying to get secondhand, and I wanted them to be as I wanted them to be. Everything else, I was strapped for cash on, okay, and I wanted it to be budget friendly, but those two I did not. The next thing is safety. So, you know, when licensing comes in, they're really big on safety. It just really depends on your rep how much in detail they go about your safety. You guys know I have a lot of things that are like, you know, kids can dig in, and that really is, so when they come in, you need to know in your mind already what you want as far as age group. I'm dealing with like preschoolers, like 3 to like school age kids, so it's a little different. If you're going to carry infants, of course you're going to have some different things, changing tables and things of that such. All of that information can be found online, but you know the diapering needs, certain things have to be in certain places, especially when you're having infants. So keep that in mind once you have your rep come in. But they do need to know what age, okay, these children are going to be and things like that. That's another video that's about policies and stuff. I kind of want to just give you the setups, but I did want to mention it's different depending on the age groups that you will have. So safety is really big. You need to have a carbon monoxide detector, outlet covers, doorknob covers, safety gates where safety gates is necessary. I remember in my old house, I actually had to cover my air conditioning units with like a mesh things so like children wouldn't put their fingers in. So depending on what's outdoors and what's indoors, some things need to be blocked off. I do not necessarily have areas that need to be blocked off, but we did go ahead and buy safety gates just in case. And the first time around, I actually did get a ding for like not having a carbon monoxide detector. It was my first inspection, so it wasn't a big deal, but make sure you have one of those. I'll try to link as much stuff as I can in my Amazon storefront for in-home daycares, okay? Just so you'll know all the materials that I got. Sometimes things are unavailable, but these were very inexpensive, especially the safety components, okay? Another thing is toys and curriculum. So again, I'm going more of the preschool, so a lot of my activities are kind of like, you know, preschool activities, things that I can create, things that I can make. I don't have to necessarily have a lot of toys, but toys are easy to come by. You can get toys. I would highly suggest that you only get like secondhand toys from like Goodwill and things of that nature. But Dollar Tree is also going to be your best friend. This time of the year is the best time to go to the Dollar Tree. I have gotten so many goodies, okay, from Dollar Tree. And some other things that they're going to be looking for when they come in are your fire alarm. I know I said carbon monoxide because that one is not, you know, as much of a given as a fire alarm. You need a fire alarm. You'll need a fire extinguisher. You can reach out to your local fire department. There are different ways. You can even get one from Amazon. You can get a fire extinguisher. Another thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make your daycare policies and procedures, okay? I'm going to do a completely separate video for you, kind of going over the policies, the ones that they require you to have, and maybe some ways that you can word it. That's going to be a total separate video. Another thing that you will need to have is parent postings. I'll also put that in a separate video just because it's a lot. You have to have these things ready. There are things that have to be readily available for not only licensing, but the parents to see when they come in. And another thing that it's new that we didn't have to have before is the children's activity schedule. Now, I don't mean like, oh, they're going to eat at this time, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. It has to be kind of pulled apart. Like, what are they going to do at these certain times? They're going to, you know, they're going to be in the science lab doing dinosaur eggs. They're going to be outside doing, you know, they're going to go outside for recess. They're going to have lunch. They're going to do math. They're going to have math class, but they're going to be doing this. You have to make an activity log, okay? Like I said, those are all going to be separate videos, but I do want you to be thinking about those things while you're getting everything together. You'll also need a first aid kit. They will be looking for specific things inside of the first aid kit. I'll put those for you on the screen, but make sure that you get one. So these are just some helpful tools that you as the daycare provider, I'm not gonna say you need them like they're mandatory. I would say they will make your life a whole lot easier. The first one is going to be a printer for obvious reasons. When I did my parent interviews and just all the documents that I had to print out in general, I would hate to have to go to the office store every single time I need to print something, and it can get very costly. The next thing with the printer and the whole printer scenario is to get HP Instant Ink. I am not sponsored by any of these programs, and I'm definitely not sponsored by HP Instant Ink, but I absolutely love it. It saved me so much money. And when you buy a printer, I would suggest that you buy a printer that actually allows you to get 6 months of HP Instant Ink for free, like the printer that I got. So my printer was less than $60, and I also got 6 months free of ink. Can you believe that? Do you know how much 6 months of ink costs? So you can print off as much stuff as you can, and you can cancel the subscription if it's not for you, or you can continue with it as I did. And it's I pay under $10 a month for ink and paper anytime I need it. The app monitors it, and they send me the ink whenever it's time for me to get ink. Like, could you ask for anything better? No, I don't think so. I would highly suggest a printer and HP Instant Ink to go with it, okay? The next thing is going to be a laminating machine. Now, of course, like I said, it's not 100% mandatory. However, especially if you're doing preschool like myself, most of the things that I'm making, that I'm using, have to do with laminating paper and Velcro dots. So those two, in my opinion, go hand in hand. And not only would I get a lot to start up, I would also keep it on like a subscription base and just keep it coming in, okay? And you can order those on Amazon. Velcro dots, it's asinine for you to order anywhere but Amazon, honestly. Unless you're doing like, what's the place called? Temu? Temu has Velcro dots as well. I don't know the quality of them. I know the ones that I'm going to link in my Amazon store or spot on. The next thing is a stapler and scissors. Obviously, for obvious reasons, you're going to need all of that, okay? And more. Thumbtacks, tape, all of the normal like teacher supplies. You're gonna need to have those things readily available. Like, don't be one of those daycare providers that's always running to the store and always having to dip into your weekly income, monthly income to buy supplies, get all your stuff ready. And this is the best time of the year to do so, okay? So, like I said, and another resource that is totally undervalued is Google. A lot of this stuff you can find on Google, okay? You can find free resources on Google. You can find good resources on Google. And along with resources, some of the resources as far as like the labels of things, which I'll show you, some of those things I actually have available on my website. If you're interested, just keep an eye on my website, especially if you're going through this process. Some of the tools that I find to be helpful for you, I will offer them there. They're ranged between $1 and $10. Nothing on the website as far as these teacher downloads is going to be more than $10. I don't care how long it took me to make, okay? So I hope this was helpful. As always, if you have a question, ask a question, and stay tuned for the next video in this series.